is the greatest rock guitarist of all time? Is it Hendrix with his otherworldly solos? Or Jimmy Page, the riff master? Maybe we should give it to Eddie Van Halen, who made the guitar talk like nobody else. You've probably debated on who the king is among these three. They helped shape rock music, but they aren't the only ones. Today we'll show you 10 of the greatest rock guitarists in no particular order. One of these 10 was told he'd never make it in music, and another was once booed off stage. Want to find out who they are? Watch this video to find out. We'll begin with Eric Clapton, the guitarist who nearly lost it all. Eric Clapton wasn't just a guitarist, he was a blues poet, a man who could make a single note weep. Eric was all about the emotions he made people have when he played. He touched people's souls and had an amazing control over the audience. When he played, he broke so many guitar strings mid-show that audiences would slow clap as he changed them. See how powerful he was? This even earned him the nickname Slow Hand. However, behind those soulful solos was a struggle that nearly destroyed him. Clapton spiraled into addiction and then obsession. He wanted Pattie Boyd, his best friend George Harrison's wife, in what was a vicious love triangle, and eventually got her, although George played a part in this too with his streak of infidelities. Unfortunately, Clapton became consumed by heartbreak and even more terrible addiction. However, he fought back, returning with some of his most beautiful and heartbreaking music, like Tears in Heaven and Wonderful Tonight. That's that about Clapton. Now next up on the list is Brian May, the rock star scientist who built his own guitar. While most kids were saving up for their first guitar, Brian built his own, the legendary Red Special. Crafted with his dad from an old fireplace, a motorbike spring, and some mother-of-pearl buttons. He's innovative, and it made sense that he was part of Queen, an innovative band in their own right. His solos in songs like Bohemian Rhapsody, We Will Rock You, and Killer Queen made the audience run wild with excitement. This man was a star, and increasingly he was devoted to studying the stars. We mean actual stars in the sky. Brian May has a PhD in astrophysics. Could there have been a reality where Brian May would be a college professor? Maybe one when Queen wasn't formed, but did you know that actually almost happened? Before they became rock royalty, May and drummer Roger Taylor were in a struggling band called Smile, which was going nowhere fast. Then a flamboyant young singer named Freddie Mercury convinced them that with the right songs and the right image, they could become the biggest band in the world. He was right, and with May's guitar work, they made magic. Without May, would Queen really be Queen? Glad we won't find out. And we are equally glad for our next guitarist on the list. The next guy wasn't just playing the guitar, he was reinventing how it was played. Eddie Van Halen, the self-taught genius who changed rock forever. When you listen to Eruption, you'll see why we called Eddie the reinventor. This man had a solo in that song that melted hearts, shattered expectations, and forced every guitarist to rethink what was possible. Here's where it gets wicked. Eddie did all of this without being able to read music. He didn't even begin as a guitarist in the first place. Can you believe that? He had raw talent, completely self-taught, and obsessively tweaked his technique. Then he found it, the holy grail that would set him apart. He discovered two-handed tapping, a revolutionary move that made the guitar sound like a lightning storm, and once began to do it. Eddie had unintentionally declared war on other guitarists, and they had to step up their game. So let's move on to the next guy on the list. He's a complete dazzler. David Gilmore, the master of emotion and atmosphere. Some guitarists impress with speed, others with technical mastery, but David Gilmore, he could break your heart with just a few notes. As Pink Floyd's lead guitarist, Gilmore wasn't about flashy solos, he was about feeling. Every bend, every sustain, every perfectly placed note told a story. If Eddie Van Halen was a fireworks show, Gilmore was a slow-burning sunrise. Just listen to his solo Uncomfortably Numb. It was so haunting and so lingering, like the taste in your mouth after eating sour candy. His work on the song was so good that it's considered one of the greatest of all time. His warm, ethereal sound, crafted with the Fender Stratocaster and carefully tweaked effects, became Pink Floyd's signature. But here's the twist. Gilmore wasn't even an original member. In 1968, as Syd Barrett's mental health declined, the band brought in Gilmore to keep things afloat. But Gilmore did more than just keep the band afloat. He helped the band to greatness. Shaping legendary albums like The Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, and The Wall. And so we move on to our next guitarist. He didn't bring Gilmore's tune to the table. What he brought was raw energy and rebellion. Keith Richards, The Human Riff. Keith Richards was all about the rock and roll swagger. As the riff master of the Rolling Stones, Keith is the reason songs like Satisfaction, Jumpin' Jack Flash, and Start Me Up feel so raw and electrifying. He was all about the groove and the kind of riffs that make you move. He even made us rhyme just now. He is that good. And here's the crazy part. He did it all with just 5 strings. Wicked, huh? Keith removed the low E string from his guitar and played in an open G tuning, creating a sound that's both simple and impossible to replicate. Even better, Keith was supposed to not even be able to do any of those things. What do we mean? For decades, he lived the kind of wild rock star lifestyle that should have taken him out 100 times over, but somehow, he survived. He even joked about it, saying, quote, "Some doctor told me I had 6 months to live. That was 10 years ago," end quote. Keith Keith was a wild man, but beneath the cigarettes, whiskey, and outlaw persona, there's an undeniable genius. Without his raw, bluesy rhythm guitar, would the Rolling Stones have become that great? Next up on this video is Randy Rhodes, the guitarist who was told he'd never make it. Every rock legend has a beginning, and Randy Rhodes' story started with the end. His own guitar teacher once told him he didn't have what it took to be great. That had to sting, but Randy was stubborn. He never gave up, and by the time he joined Quiet Riot and later teamed with Ozzy Osbourne, he was well on his way to becoming a legend. Randy's style was just something else. He was lightning fast, impossibly precise, and unlike anything rock had ever heard before. His blistering solos left even the best guitarists questioning everything they thought they knew about playing. He infused his work with classical influences and dominated, but just when it seemed like Randy was about to change rock music forever, his story took a devastating turn. A freak accident ending his life at just 25 years old. Randy Rhodes' story is a tragic reminder that sometimes the brightest flames burn out too soon, but his influence, that never faded. His revolutionary playing style still echoes through rock music today. And now to our next guy. Jimmy Page, the sorcerer of sound. When it comes to rock guitar, Jimmy Page is in a league of his own. As the mastermind behind Led Zeppelin, he didn't just play guitar, he redefined it. His riffs are legendary. Whole Lotta Love, an opening riff that shook the earth. Kashmir, a song that drips with mystery and power. Stairway to Heaven, one of the most iconic songs of all time. But it wasn't just the riffs. Jimmy Page had a way of bending sound to his will. Who else would think to play a guitar with a violin bow to create eerie, otherworldly sounds on stage? He combined blues, hard rock, and mysticism to create a sound that's timeless. And if Jimmy Page could bend music to his will, the next guitarist on our list, well, he could set his guitar on fire. Chuck Berry, the father of rock guitar. Before Jimi Hendrix, there was Chuck Berry, the man who didn't just play rock and roll, he lived it and loved it. His fast, fiery riffs and signature duck walk turned the guitar from just another instrument into the star of the show. If you've ever heard Johnny Be Good, you've heard the blueprint for rock guitar. Opening riff alone has inspired generations. Chuck's influence can be heard in everyone from the Beatles to AC/DC. Without him, could rock music as we know it exist? And speaking of game changers, our next guitarist didn't just play, he melted minds. Jimi Hendrix booed off stage to Rock God. Jimi Hendrix wasn't just a guitarist, he was a force of nature. But did you know, before he became the psychedelic guitar god we know today, Jimi was booed off stage? It happened when he opened for the Monkees. The teeny bopper fans were not impressed. But just a few years later, Hendrix was setting his guitar on fire at Woodstock. Changing the way music was played forever. His mind-bending solos and experimental techniques made him a legend. One of the most influential guitarists of all time. Now, we've reached our final guitarist. Stevie Ray Vaughan, the saddest story. The blues rock genius Stevie Ray Vaughan had incredible skill, raw passion, and could make his guitar speak. Not just play, but really speak. However, it wasn't just his fingers that made him great. It was his heart. Stevie fought through addiction, clawing his way back to greatness. He was on the verge of taking the world by storm. Playing with such soul and energy that his fans were in a frenzy. But just when everything seemed perfect, tragedy struck. After an incredible concert, Stevie died in a helicopter crash. He was just 35 years old. His legacy lives on, though. Stevie Ray Vaughan wasn't just a guitarist. He was rock and roll's lost soul, taken too soon. His music still resonates today, and his influence is still felt in every guitar solo that follows. What a journey, right? From Eric Clapton to Stevie Ray Vaughan, these guitar legends didn't just play music, they reshaped it, leaving their mark on history forever. Do you agree with this list? What do you think we missed out on? Drop a comment below, and if you love rock history, hit that subscribe button and keep the music alive. Also, don't miss our next video.